Hey, everyone, welcome. I'm really glad you could join us. Super excited about today's Zoom meeting. More excited that it looks like there's a light coming close to the end of the tunnel with our ability to actually meet in person. And Mr. Barron, if that's a glass of wine, I have a tremendous amount of respect for you right now. But so I wanted to do a few things. I'm going to introduce Miss Effie Turnbull, and she's the Vice President of Community and Civic Engagement and Economic Partnerships at USC. But before I do that, I want to kind of go over some rules of the road for this to make it easier for everyone to interact. If we could, use the chat room over on the right-hand side to the max extent possible for any questions you may have. And then occasionally I'll be putting up a poll for everyone to see. If you, as soon as you click on it and answer the questions, it'll just go away. So don't worry about it might obscure the screen for just a few minutes. But it'll once you answer it, or you don't even have to answer, you can push it out of the way, I believe. Just don't let for the speakers especially, don't let it distract you. USVBA is doing some really neat things. I'm really excited about it with the direction we've been heading. You know, we really made a solid transition into this Zoom stuff. We kind of consolidated the chapters don't have enough members individually to have a Zoom meeting, so we as a one whole organization have put this together, and it's really gone well. And then we kind of morphed into the way it operates now, which is having very special guests like USC. We had Pacific Gas and Electric a couple months ago, California High Speed Rail last month. So we really get some great information. And with that, what I want to do is introduce Miss Effie Turnbull Sanders. Again, she's the Vice President of Civic Engagement and Economic Partnerships. She's just a tremendous asset in this entire portion of the economy. She's been working with USC for a good long while now, and I don't want to take too much of her thunder. But suffice it to say that she's a real powerhouse and impressive woman. So with that, I will pass it over to her, and we'll let the games begin.
Thank you, Daniel. I really appreciate it. And welcome, everyone. Good afternoon. My name's Effie Turnbull Sanders, and I have the pleasure of working at USC on some really exciting work coming up that I hope to share a bit with you. Welcome again, and thank you to the United States Veterans Business Alliance, USVBA, for your continued and valued partnership. USVBA has been extremely instrumental in giving a voice to the veteran business owner and entrepreneur in our local communities across the nation. And now, more than ever, USVBA has stepped up to meet the needs of our small business communities. And in the work that I'm currently engaged in at USC, I have the opportunity to work with Torres, who is here, my colleague, on some really important inclusionary business opportunities. And we're looking at how do we develop an ecosystem of supports that support our community in small business development, workforce development, inclusionary housing, and how do we do that in partnership with community? One of the exciting initiatives that we are launching is called the Office of Business Diversity and Economic Opportunity, which will be led up by Michelle Turner on my team. And that office will be responsible for developing more inclusionary practices to give more opportunities to women, minority, and veteran-owned businesses with USC. And we hope to share more about those opportunities as the office is launched. We're also looking to think about how do we expand opportunities beyond USC? How do we create pipeline opportunities for contracting with other public and private institutions for businesses like veteran-owned businesses and women and minority-owned businesses that didn't exist before. We know that in order to create a more healthy and vibrant economy, we have to make sure that those who may not have had opportunities in the past get those shots. And only by working together can we create really innovative solutions for our region. And I'm looking forward to continued partnership with USVBA and ways that we can pool our collective resources and to build more opportunities for important generational wealth building so that we can close wealth and income gaps. And so that's one of the reasons why today's event is so very important. And today, USVBA is going to provide you all with a platform to learn, connect, and grow your business. And we hope that you get a lot out of this opportunity, and you hope that you will continue to use USC as a resource and stay connected with us. And we hope that we can help empower your success. Thank you for allowing me to share this afternoon with you, and enjoy the rest of the event and fight on.
Hey, thank you very much, Effie. By the way, I just got a chat from Ernest Alonso, who's on the call here. He is one of the leaders in the Orange County chapter, and he's a USC alum from '94. So just wanted to make mention of that. And next, we've got Rocío Flores, who is also she's the program administrator for the Civic Engagement and Economics Partnership program. And just has been, I gotta say, she has been wonderful to work with in setting this whole thing up. Really has gone above and beyond. So she's going to describe what exactly we have in store for you and the different folks. So with that, I will turn it over to her, and Rocio, off to you.
Hi, Dan. Thank you so much. And thank you, everybody. Effie, thank you for that gracious introduction and articulating so well just the vision of our department and USC. I want to spend a couple minutes before I introduce the folks that will be facilitating and leading the training to just share a little bit about one of the programs that we offer at USC, which is our Bridges to Business Success program. This program is being conducted now virtually because of the pandemic, but it is actually a business development training and coaching program that we offer diverse small business owners in our local communities. Again, our focus is women, veteran, and minority-owned businesses. It's a 15-week program, very comprehensive, where we cover financial management, legal issues, procurement and contract opportunities, as well as business strategic planning and operations. And so I bring this up because this is just one of many resources that we can partner up with USVBA and that we want to open up to all of you to participate in the future. We're currently doing the 2021 cohort now, but we're looking at ways to redesign, reimagine, and upgrade this program so that it aligns, like Effie had mentioned, with our BDO office and continue to provide support based on the needs of the community. We wanted to give you kind of a little taste of that program here today, which is why we have our training, Ready, Set, Pause, where we're going to be talking about the importance of doing a business health check and how sometimes we need to kind of backtrack a little, take a pause. We've been on the go with COVID and everything that's been going on, and we need to reflect and kind of look at our plans and really do that health assessment of our business to be able to move on, something that we should continuously be doing throughout. And so I'm happy to be able to come in here as a co-host to sponsor this event, this training for you all. I know you're going to get a lot out of it. It's going to be very interactive. But before we do that, I'd actually like to turn the mic over to Anthony Torres, who is a Master of Business for Veterans alumnus from the USC Marshall School of Business. We're very excited to have Anthony here with us today. I think he's been involved in USVBA as well, and he wants to share a little bit about his story and the experience he had at Marshall. Just again, another resource, another opportunity for you all if you're interested in this program. So I'm just going to hand it off over to Anthony, and then I'll pick it up after that. Anthony.
Hey, good afternoon. Can everybody hear me okay? Thumbs up. Hey, my name is Anthony Torres, and I'm a proud alum of the MBB cohort 4 at the University of Southern California, Marshall School of Business. One of the things that I can tell you so much about the MVV, I can probably go on this whole meeting, but they only gave me a small time frame, is that the MBV, Master of Business for Veterans, it's a very comprehensive, incredible program that was developed for veterans who are transitioning into the business world. Modeled almost like the EMBA, but in a one-year program. It absolutely highlights the amazing, not only academic features of graduate school at University of Southern California, but more importantly, it gives veterans an opportunity to be able to work with other veterans, to collaborate, and more importantly, understand the business world as they transition or have transitioned from the military into the civilian sector. Real quick, one of the things I always tell people all the time is lifelong Angelino, loved everything about Los Angeles, but more importantly, the 3 things I loved the most were my family, the Dodgers, and the University of Southern California. So when I was given the opportunity to be a part of the Trojan family, Trojan network, it was one of the greatest things in the world. But it was just the beginning. It was just the beginning of what was to come. Once in school, the amazing professors and the academic teachings and the leadership that was presented was given to these heroes, if you would, the veterans. And each one of them, every one of them deserved every bit of what they were getting. But the best part, the most important thing that I think everybody at USC received was not only one, being part of the strongest network in the world, but being part of the Trojan family. So I guess I can go on and on and on, but one of the greatest things that I'm telling you about the MBV is the veteran collaborative energy that happens through this program. And secondly, the network that is established outside of class. So I could speak on and on and on. If any of you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. But I'll hand it off to you, Rocio. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak to you guys today. And I look forward to continue working with USVBA, which I just talked to William Osgood yesterday. So Daniel, I'd love to speak to you after this. So right on.
Absolutely. And by the way, I've got to give a shout out to William Osgood. He's done a tremendous job in linking us up. So I don't want to neglect to introduce him.
Thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Daniel. Anthony, also we need to definitely mention, you served in the Army for 20 years and you retired as a 1SG after your redeployment from Iraq. So thank you so much for your service.
Oh, my pleasure.
And thank you for sharing with us about your experience with the MVB. I encourage you, Anthony, to share your email in the chat. And if anybody maybe has questions for you, you can engage in the chat throughout as well. Now I have the pleasure of introducing Miss Erika Arias, who is currently, more recently, been appointed the Executive Director of the LA Police Museum. Congratulations, Erika. She's also the founder of Imperiotech LLC and was the president of Alpha Prime Consulting. Erika actually came through our Bridges program, and so we've come really full circle here with her and her expertise and now training for our Bridges program as well. So it's really great to have her here with us today. I'll also introduce Sergeant Robert Arnold, who also served in the Army from 2004 to 2019. And Robert has worked with Erika for a number of years, also through the Alpha Prime Consulting Company. He's also starting another venture. And so we're really happy to have them tag team the training and facilitating this opportunity for you all today. So I'm going to just hand it over to Erika and Robert, and you all can take it from here.
Thank you, Rocio. As always, it's a complete pleasure and an honor to be with you all today. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to get started. I want to give a little bit of just a more background. Thank you, Rocio, for your amazing introductions. Again, my name is Erika Arias. I am the Executive Director of the Los Angeles Police Museum. I have my bachelor and master's from the University of Laverne, but I am earning my second master's at USC, so I can echo what Mr. Torres said about the pride that you feel becoming a part of that Trojan family. If any of you are considering any programs at USC, I cannot tell you the value and the immense support that I have felt in my time, in my small time with USC. I've met Rocio and the Office of Civic Engagement, and the opportunities that have come from it. It's second to none. I've never experienced this anywhere else. A fantastic community. I am also the co-founder and CEO of Imperio Tech. I wear many different hats, lots of things going on. And I'm lucky to have my business partner, and he named me the president of Alpha Prime Consulting before I stepped down to go to the museum. And we are lucky to be here today. And we wanted to give you a little bit brief introduction. Roberto, if you'd like to go ahead and share a little bit more about yourself.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Roberta Arnold, Army veteran, 2004 to 2019, Ranger, 3rd Ranger Battalion, 75th Ranger Battalion. Got my bachelor's degree in business management and administration. Currently with Laverne, working on getting my master's so that way I can transfer it over and do the USC program as well for veterans. I'm also the commander for the American Legion over in Pomona, the co-founder and COO of Imperio Technologies, which will be coming out hopefully end of next year. And also now the executive director for the Multicultural Business Alliance, which is also part of the Bridges program for USC. So with that being said, Erika, take it away.
Thank you so much, Roberto. Let's hop right into it. We're going to go over our agenda for today. We went over our introductions, but we definitely want to know more about all of you. So if you could drop your organization or your company or your position in the chat, we can get to know you better that way. And we can really start to get rolling and understanding who is in our group. So if you can drop that in, don't be shy. Roberto and I are very interactive. We really like the ability to interact with everybody. I know we're not in person, but we can still do our best, right? We can interact in the chat. Thank you. I'm seeing chats come in. Thank you. Okay, getting it rolling. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Joseph. I appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and keep going with the agenda for today. So we have our goals, our expectations. Our goals, what are ultimately learning, right? And as Rocio said, we're here to actually have a moment of reflection and pause. And that might seem a little, weird, a little bit anxious for some at times, but we're going to go over that and what it truly means for your business. And so we're going to do that and we're going to lead you along and go with a health check. And we're going to have planning and strategies as well. Okay, and Roberto.
All right. Executive summary and workshop and goals. What we're planning to achieve today. The goal of the workshop is to encourage participants whom are small business owners or organizational leaders to begin gauging the true health status of the organization after facing the challenge of 2020. Participants will also learn the basic strategy and planning skills for moving forward and mapping out the year ahead.
All right, so what does this whole pause mean? Ready, set, pause, right? So we know our official definitions are a temporary stop or rest, right? Very basic definition. How can we integrate this pause into what we call our business jargon, our everyday business vernacular? So many times we hear the different things, entrepreneur, leader, a profit and loss statement, balance sheets, all these great things, but we never really hear the word pause in our vocabulary as business owners or business leaders. Pausing allows us to really listen, and not just to our outside external world, but it gives us the opportunity to observe and listen, assess our current situation, and also look at how we are internally functioning as that business leader. It also creates your own intentional reflection. And believe it or not, we have leaders like Steve Jobs and Elon Musk, although Elon Musk is a workaholic, has had said that some of his greatest times of breakthrough were the moments where he just took a second to breathe. Stepping back seems really scary. I know I don't like doing it either. Neither does Roberto. We're both very type A, and we move forward in our work and we push and we push and we push. But as we know, this last 2020, we had no other choice but to pause, right? And so in that time, we had that bit of reflection. We were able to look and see how we can achieve greater insights and greater clarity with the running of our business. And so we can review things like our expenditures, and our health check usually includes planning, getting ahead, getting a project done or a jump start on something else, setting up new organizational systems. I am now over at the Los Angeles Police Museum. No systems in place. I am now able to go ahead and put systems in place. Fortunate, taking the positives out of a negative. When we see the aftermath of COVID, we're able to pause, to really pause and look at what is around us. And we can really take a look at our internal organizational systems. And we're going to really reset our business thought processes, not necessarily the processes themselves, but the way we are viewing and perceiving our business. What does that thought process look like? Okay. All right, Roberto.
All right, here comes the fun part. Now what we're going to be doing is that we're going to be moving into a scenario. You will be broken up into groups to discuss the scenarios to the right. You will have 10 minutes to discuss, dedicate about 3 to introductions, 7 minutes for scenario discussions, and then 1 person will be elected as a group representative. So the scenario is very simple. In your groups, we want you to think about an area that you're very diligent in a fast paced. Share with your group exactly what business channel that is. Now outline how that would look like if you completely paused and went hands off in order to review it. What would it look like? And what are your initial gut reactions if you were forced to pause in this specific area? A representative will report on the groups. Were there any common themes? And ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be fun because most of us are veterans and we have one channel. Just keep going and push through, right? Mission first. So we're going to break you guys up. We'll be popping in and out and making sure that everybody understands the task on hand. So let's go ahead and break out into your groups. We'll see you guys there individually.
All right, looks like everyone's kind of filtered back here. Hey, real quick, I wanted to add, this relationship we've struck up with USC is just that. This isn't a one-time event. We're not a very transactional organization. We really want to develop these things. So we'll be also talking in the future of how to get integrated into the USC supply chain. I've personally offered my services as an assistant head coach for football. We'll see how that goes. But also this MVB program and some other executive the classes. So anyways, with that, back to you, Eric and Rocio.
All right. Thank you for that, Daniel. I'm sure they'll be ringing you up for the football coaching. I don't see why not, Okay. Well, you all know that Roberto was in the rooms with you and facilitating discussion, and so Roberto's going to go ahead and pick on a few people if he remembers the groups or if he'd like to facilitate what he heard. And if you'd like to chime in, if you were part of that group, Roberto?
So we'll start with group 1. I think that one of the common items that we found was employees and lack thereof employees. So I'd like to pick on Rangers Lead the Way. Chris? Sorry, not sorry.
So what are you asking me?
Yes, what you guys were able to discuss the current struggle where you've had to take a pause and how that what has that done for you, or if you haven't, maybe it's something that you got to consider, because I know we're so used to going on a fast pace and just going through the motions and figuring out as it comes along.
Yeah, I think I'm going to steal from Dean in our group. I mean, he just had some good points on a health assessment every year, and just kind of clearly identifying if your vision for your company is still in demand. And then in this moment, are you capable of putting the effort in to address those demands for your product? Especially like I'm in construction, and a lot of stuff got held up last year. A lot of people were holding off on projects starting off. I mean, we had ongoing stuff, but new stuff wasn't coming in. So there's a lot of hold up. And so taking time to plan for the hopes of 2021 was something that we've been trying to do and embrace for.
Outstanding, Chris. Thank you so much. From group number 2, does anybody want to volunteer?
There's that that poll I was just talking about.
I remember seeing a gentleman by the name of Eddie in the group. I
was gonna say I could take the lead on that. So one of the things that are the common theme that we came up with that we saw in our group was how we would all like to take a pause, but the majority of us in the group were in technology-based businesses, and it just doesn't allow you to take that pause in a really meaningful way because of external forces, whether it be the technology itself or learning about the new technology or the educational aspect of it. And we would like to work on the businesses as much as possible, but you get into that snowball effect, and that kind of seemed to be the common theme of why the pauses weren't taking place. But yeah, we'd love to hear what you guys have to think after we hear everyone else's group.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Definitely. And then our third group, there was discussions as far as working at the pace of whatever the government's feedback or however long it took process. Can somebody elaborate on that?
Yeah, so when COVID hit, we're working in seasonal sales for the outdoor consumer. When COVID hit, all the government agencies who have to do the approvals to get products into the gift shop stores or whatever you want to do, they couldn't meet. And so everything slowed down to a glacial pace. The demand was higher because visitation at the parks and in outdoor areas has really spiked since COVID. But without those approvals, you can't sell through their outlets. So it made us, reevaluate and look at different options for how to get our products to the customers. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. And believe me, sometimes the wait period for us is the longest. Erika and I ourselves, we've dealt with the hurry up and wait, right? That's the military's motto: hurry up and wait. You get it done, and you still got to hurry up and wait. So we've dealt with the federal government. I mean, Erika and I jumped on a phone call with the state of California secretary and sit there 45 minutes just to be told, yeah, you filed, but you got to hurry up and wait. It can take between 2 weeks to 2 months. So we're at the mercy of the government. Even after we leave the military, we're still at their mercy. we're working in that field, right? And from everything here, guys, job, your employment, your employees, finding the right talent for your business, it's really crucial. And sometimes we just have to take a step back and evaluate what we're doing right and wrong.
Right. And to echo that, I know a lot of us want to hear what this pause looks like, especially when it comes to the tech organizations who feel like they can't take pause. These are the times where, it's the whole Gary Vaynerchuk type of mentality where we're going to have to work late to take the pause. It almost seems counterintuitive, right? So we're going to be up at all hours, but as the executive of your organization, it's imperative for you to look at how all of these organizational dynamics are actually aligning and what that looks like. So we heard some things with staff, right? Staff is not, you're having trouble trying to find the appropriate staff. Have you looked at your own processes? Do you have a staff handbook? Do you have job descriptions specifically spelling out what each person is responsible for? So the staffing, we've done this ourselves, even with some of our boards, some of our nonprofit boards. We've even created job descriptions for them, because that organizational alignment and the directors and the executives stop taking pause and stepping back and putting out the expectation of what they choose to, or excuse me, want to see, not are choosing to see. It's almost like this is what I expect of you, but I'm not going to really write it down or say it. So it really behooves us to take that extra time to see to really evaluate what you want to see out of your employee. If you don't have the employee, what you want your ideal employee to look like, write it out, line it out, and what you specifically expect them to do for the organization, not for you, for the organization, right? So unless you're hiring a personal assistant, we're going to say that we want this employee to serve the organization in the best possible way. And when you do set that up, it's a multi-chain effect. When you set that up for your future employee or your current employees, and you're lining all of that out, not only do you save time with the whole expectation and training and all those different things, it actually protects you on the back end. Should you need to have any disciplinary matters, anything of that nature, if they're not following with what you had them sign on to, you have the documentation and paperwork. I can't tell you how important it is for small businesses to have that type of documentation with them when it comes to employees and when it comes to disciplinary matters and such. So we can see how important it really is, even if it means extra hours on your end. That is the sacrifice of an entrepreneur, right? We're working more than anybody else that we know. And I had somebody tell me, what are you doing for Christmas? Or it was Thanksgiving, excuse me. What's going on for Thanksgiving? And I completely forgot it was Thanksgiving week. I don't get those days. I had Thanksgiving off. I don't have the following day off either. So it's those extra hours. And it's like I said, again, it sounds counterintuitive. It's the extra hours you're putting into pause. It's the extra hours you're putting in to have this health check. And you're going to really yield the benefits of being able, not excessive. We need rest. Entrepreneurs need our rest. We need to be able to sleep. We need to be able to function. But the extra hours going in and reflecting really do come out beneficial on the other end. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to thank you for that. Thank you for your breakout rooms. I hope it was productive because it's going to get you to really think about what area you need to focus on, to pause on, right? And one thing that I really want to emphasize with small business leaders is this: we must humanize ourselves. We must humanize the other people who we're dealing with, our employees, vendors. We must bring this level of understanding and empathy because it builds our own resiliency as leaders. When we begin to humanize one another and our process, maybe another vendor or an employee is also pausing, or maybe another manager is also pausing and reflecting on how they're going through their processes. If we begin to understand that, we begin to play a bigger role, especially in our previous scenario development, how we were going about identifying what we're pausing on, or, things with the government and all these different things are out of control. But when we begin to humanize these processes just a little bit, as opposed to creating this, putting ourselves in the silo of I'm this entrepreneur, that you are here, I am here type of game. When we humanize our process, we're going to be far more resilient on the back end. Okay. And so the foundational concepts of this humanization, it really requires us from breaking away from traditional models of management. Traditional models of management usually encompass the here's your task and execute, and I'll come back and check on you. The traditional roles have actually seen some negative consequences on our decision making. So when you humanize the process, we're beginning to embrace the positive and negative feedback. Okay. And we're also being able to understand our staff, again, or any vendors of that nature. We're really beginning to understand how we all process each individual dynamic of our business. Okay. All right. Oops, excuse me, Roberto.
All right, perfect. Now we're going to transition from the humanization process and bring it together so we can see how we can conduct business health checks, especially in the financial health check. So the practical and feasible business health checks include your check financial statements, reviewing staffing, reviewing your expenses, product or service viability, supply chain. Profit and loss sheets are really important, ladies and gentlemen. You have to maintain numbers of what money's coming in and what money's going out.
Absolutely. And it also goes in, I say financial statements and then review of expenses. So those are actually two very different documents. So your output, you want to know what's going out, right? But your financial statement is always that there's several ones, and they're more and more comprehensive than just a budget sheet. So you want to know what's going out, but your overall financial statements also need to be included. So that is also an important distinction, because I have had people say those are the same things. They're not actually. So we got to know and understand the differences.
Mm-hmm. And guys, real simple to help you manage this is we set up 2 different bank accounts, actually 3. We have our bank account that accepts all the income, the account that makes all the payables, and our account that takes care of our taxes. Okay. And that helps you simplify everything.
Mm-hmm. So drop in the chat. I have not, admittedly, I will admit right now, I've not been looking at the chat, so forgive me. But drop in the chat. I want to know what a financial review looks like to you. What does that mean? What does that mean to you? Or if you'd like to raise your hand and talk about it, please feel free to raise your hand. Nothing yet? Anyone?
Wayne? We see you, Wayne.
Sure. To me, I would say it would be a quarterly review of your books. But I love that concept of having 3 different checking accounts, one for payables, right? So that's awesome. But that's what it looks like for me, is reviewing your documents, where you are, and then, what does it look like? What are you going to predict or try to foresee your financials to be in the future?
Right. So that forecast, right? You're trying to create a forecast. Mm-hmm. And when you review quarterly, you're able to create more of those forecasts based on remember I said the expenditure sheet, right? The expenditures are going to help you forecast, especially when you're looking at what's coming in versus what's going out. And if whatever's going out is exceeding what's coming in, your forecast is going to look way different, right? Okay, let's see what's in the chat here. P&L, yeah, absolutely. P&L, balance sheet, and doing the cash flow thing, absolutely.
That is correct. Yes.
Excellent. Good. We're all on the same page and we all understand. You'd be shocked at what people consider a financial health check. Sometimes it's, you look at owner equity. Or you can in this financial review and pause, review your partnerships. What do your partnerships look like? How is that being distributed how is any revenue being distributed among partners? And if you're in a place where you're not generating revenue, maybe there needs to be a review and people are kind of taking a step back and saying, I'll take a cut here, making sure that we have cash flow or we have even cash on hand, right? And it is a tough balance. Absolutely. High overhead, need to show some profitability, right? When you do that, and if you do that monthly, exactly, Bill, if you're doing that monthly, you're able to actually justify that even more. So if you're having a review of your partnerships and certain things that need to be renegotiated, if you're having a good review of that, you have actually more value in your argument for certain mechanisms to either increase or decrease spending, right? And you take a loss your first few years. Absolutely. I think those are things that need to be expected as entrepreneurs. I can't even begin to tell you, it's a scary amount of money that Roberto and I have invested into our ventures. And so those are things that we often look at and review, and it's something that we have to remain very realistic about. Yes, unnecessary, those variable expenses. You know, I mean, our own variable expenses in our personal life. No, I don't need a Postmates subscription, right? So what the pandemic put us in a whole different league when it comes to our expenses now. Now we can go back and look, okay, do I really need to have a separate POS system that did not integrate with QuickBooks or anything of that nature, making sure that everything is jiving. You know, sometimes we get caught up in making sure that we have efficient vendors and making sure that our channels are efficient, and we double dip in technology for some reason. Yes, chronic ones can absolutely hurt the language in medical. Oh, so you're in the medical industry, Laura. You can see that sometimes those small little expenditures, I'm not sure if you're in medical supplies or not, but if go ahead, go for it. You're on mute.
Yeah. This is the language they use in the insurance companies. You know, my ex-husband had, you know, high blood pressure, and that was a real issue for them. But it would be almost better if he had a heart attack from their perspective, because it's a one-time deal and over with, than to have the high blood pressure and the constant payments of these small dribbles of medication every month and the cost of that. So sometimes those small costs every month really end up hurting you more than a one-time bigger cost then it's done.
Right. That front end investment. Sometimes it's that front end direct investment that's going to save you in the back end. Right. Yes, Joshua, you have a question. Please feel free to unmute yourself.
You mentioned that you know, a company showing a loss in the first 2 years or first couple of years, and I apologize because I just got this news today. I applied for a small business loan for working capital to expand, and they basically told me no, because I showed a loss in my first year. I mean, I just don't, I'm not understanding how this works. I mean, I pretty much bootstrapped my whole business up to this point.
Right.
And so where are we supposed to go? Or what is somebody supposed to do if they can't get working capital to expand because they showed a loss because they paid for marketing and they paid for some equipment? It doesn't make any sense to me.
It doesn't. And that's the sad, unfortunate thing about our struggles as small business owners. When you're going for an SBA loan or small business loan, it's usually around year 5 when it's most viable for them to start lending. And that is when you start showing some sort of return. It almost feels like you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. So the thing with that is we have to make sure that we're creating, again, eliminating those variable expenses. Yes, Laura, you have something you'd like to chime in.
Yeah, I was just going to say, this is an issue a lot of us have run into before. We were looking at this. We do construction work, mostly high-speed rail, BART projects, and we have a lot of accounts receivable because they don't pay us for 3 months. And I was looking at how do we get a loan with that situation when we're showing a loss on our books to build up our overhead will be correct going forward. And the only way we could find to do that, other than personal loans, which is what I ended up doing, I ended up, you know, cashing out my retirement and closing out my bank account, maxing my credit card, because I, as a person, could get much better loans than my company, and I could loan the money to the company. There's ways to document that so you get paid back properly. But to try to do that through your company is very difficult unless you want to get a hard money loan, and some people will do it on your accounts receivable. Will give you money on your invoices, outstanding invoices, but that always has a higher interest rate almost than what you can get as a person.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's really, really tough. And that's why we're really tough on our small business owners about their finance, about what their books look like.
Yes.
Because we want to make sure that we do see some sort of movement actually in the positive. So this is the whole purpose of the pause as well. Should I be paying for this marketing and launching? Yes, and there are alternatives. There's nonprofit lenders now who are coming forward, and they're taking the risk on smaller businesses just for you having those financial statements ready to go. So many small businesses don't have any of their P&Ls or balance sheets ready to go, and that's what stops them. So yes, Rocio, if you could share that with the group, because of that exact circumstance, we are now being fortunate enough to be in a place where other lenders and even angel investors are seeing that that there's no bridge to that. There's no bridge to that whole scenario. So now we're able to really present that argument again, right? That value proposition. This is what is happening to us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm running everything correctly, right? I'm running the way I should. And you still feel like you're being penalized for not for not having any revenue generation, right? So having your books in place immediately, and especially these new resources coming through, they're only going to make you that much more of a stronger candidate. And
Yes.
thank you for pointing that out, Rocio. So getting to look at your books now, especially, and then having the ability to see what is variable, right? We talked about those variable expenses. Make sure your variable expenses are indefinitely definite. They actually become a fixed one right now for the time being. It's the absolute the must have in order to succeed. If there's anything that you do not necessarily need, maybe it's you putting in the extra hours for that social media type channel. I know it's terrible. Social media is one of the bane of my existence. If I have to put in the extra hours as opposed to hiring a digital marketing person, I'd rather put in my own labor at man hours to save on that back end to prove to the banks that I am spending responsibly, right? In their eyes, you're spending responsibly, but in their eyes, we want to see some sort of, something in the purse.
And
right?
then, Erica, the last thing I want to add to this, and it's very simple. Nobody told us this. Like Erica and I had to learn this our own way. You have to pay your company. The reason why you have no assets, the reason why they won't approve you, because you're not paying your company. Out of every contract that you get, grab 10, 20%, drop it into your account. Don't touch it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what keeps us in the black. And that put us in the green for a very long time, even during the pandemic. That's how we were able to survive, by creating that purse within the company.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that they don't teach us in school. They don't teach us this in classrooms. Like, you have to get out there and do it yourself, and you have to have that money, that $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 option to ask for more money, and having that legend of money increasing in your bank account. That's what they want to see.
Right, exactly. So thank you. That was a very robust discussion. Thank you so much. And I'm happy that we can talk about these things, because it's a very, very real issues that we're facing as entrepreneurs, right? It's very real, and you feel like you're stuck. But in these stuck moments, we're able to pause, and we're able to think about how we might be able to pivot our way out of that, right? So thank you for that. So in that same vein, businesses saw 50% revenue drop in 2020. I don't even think that, I got that figure off of SBA. I don't think that's even accurate. I think that's even more. Safe to say that is even more. And we know our important financial documents to review are the balance sheets, the income sheets. Income is also your profit and loss statement, AKA the P&L. Right? And so we want to look at our cash flow statements and our earnings. Roberto?
Okay, so the important financial record reviews may include balance sheets, income sheets, also known as your profit and loss sheets, cash flow statements, and earnings. Now, we go back to the basic concept of why do we need this? It's because when we're asking anybody for money, whether it's a bank, a lender, an investor, they're gonna want to see if we can handle this. If you're asking for 100,000 but you can't manage your 10,000, I'm not gonna do it. So the more diligent you're able to maintain your balance sheets, guys, from the basic stuff. If you're operating from 6 in the morning to 6 in the afternoon, anything that's business related, save the receipts and show proof of what you have, because you're barely starting off. As you start maturing, it's going to get to the point where they're not going to really audit you. They're not going to question it, because it becomes a trend. And that's how you build, again, piggybacking off what Erika says, your fixed income, like your fixed expenses. You already know you're going to spend X amount of dollars on gas, on printing materials, on pages, on pens, on papers, envelopes, stamps. It's little things that we don't think about when we're starting a business. We say, we're going to do it. And yeah, LegalZoom is going to charge me $9.99 and my business is there. That's just the beginning. You know, there's so much more that you have to get. Your income sheets, all of your finances are really important, especially right now during the pandemic. Any cohort you wanted to jump on board, they're asking you for this information. Why? Because it's important for us to know who we're bringing on board. If it's going to be people that are literate or illiterate with financial literacy, and there's nothing wrong with not knowing what you don't know. Erika and I, we're not mathematicians. We're not economics like professors. Like, we dislike math, but we're good at it because we like to stay green. Erika likes her Prada. I like my Chargers. So we tend to keep it, we like our stuff. So we make sure that we're always profitable in one way, shape, or form. Okay. And then your earnings, make sure that you pay yourselves. But again, please pay your company, because especially if you're a limited liability or if you're a corporation, there's ways for you guys to make that grow and utilize your DUNS numbers. Utilize your DUNS numbers. That way you start creating a record with it. Yes, when you're starting off, you use the social. But as you start creating that synergy of your business, having income, having loans, then you're going to dump everything onto your DUNS. And then through DUNS, the Duns and Bradstreet, they have creditors that will lend you money, and you can start building credit on it. Putting vehicles under the company's name, under your organization. Just understand that there's additional costs to that. There's going to be the commercial insurance for your vehicle. Now you're not going to need a private. You'll need a commercial. And if you're working with the government like we do, they're going to ask you for higher rates of insurance. So it's a trickling effect. It just depends which way you want to go. That's why right now it's really crucial for us to take a deep breath and really just figure out, where can we go? What does your business have the capacity to do? And then based on that, you're going to have to make that pivot and shift into gear. That way you guys are successful.
Right. And again, that pause is what we're really focusing on. It gives us the opportunity to look at that. I heard somebody mention that they are still considering whether they are relevant in the market or not, right? And that relevancy in your market is really, really important, especially when it comes to creating any type of predictive analysis with your finances. And if you're not understanding whether you are still relevant in your market or needed in your market, all of your digital marketing efforts, they're going to go down the drain. Because if your product or your service is not as in demand, or if you're not pivoting your services or product to fit the current market, all else is going to kind of fall by the wayside. It's not going to pan out, because therein becomes you're grasping for something that is not working when you're trying to push it through. And so you end up spending even more your man hours. And one exercise that I've been teaching, now over at the LA Police Museum, I've been teaching my board how to really understand what it means to create a cost analysis of a specific project. If this is also an important financial record, or exercise to review, is what does it cost to produce a simple mailer or pushing out a social media to push with Facebook ads or anything like that? What is the actual service plus the cost of the manpower and labor, cost of the actual goods themselves, and then what you're going to sell that service for? What is your profit margin looking like at that point? What are the percentages coming back to us? If we're not running those financial analyses, we're going to be in deep trouble, because even your own manpower, if you're running lean, the amount of money that you are putting back into your organization is still the amount of money that is actually being expended through your payroll or what you're paying yourself. So it becomes a little bit wonky, but to run those cost analysis is also very important right here, right now in this pause. So the pause isn't completely putting on the brakes, getting a margarita and sitting back and reflecting on life. It's more or less about the ability to run these important types of these reviews.
Joshua, to just kind of give you an example, right? Erika and I had our company. Now, every contract we got was between $12,000 to $15,000, right? So from that $12,000 to $15,000, we need right off the back $1,000 was going to go for our printing material, our books, and our presentations, as well as our clients' meetings. We were going to, we either met at a restaurant. If not, we end up renting a facility so that we can run our board meetings. So $1,000 came off the back. So that left Erika with left Eric and myself with 4,500. Now, off of that, we took 10% and we paid it to the company. Now, the reason why we put the money into the company is because I did not want to have to pay out of pocket for anything. And I didn't want Erica to pay out of pocket for anything else. We already had our fixed income of how much money we were going to spend. So we started creating a piggy bank that allowed us to have money just in case that big client comes around and we need to, woo them and say, you know what, this is what we have to offer. That's how we were able to have extra money in the back end and save it and show proof that we are in the green, even though Erica and I were just barely making it through in the beginning. And then we just started generating. And then it got to the point where Erica had her paycheck, I had my paycheck. And you know what? If we needed something else, Erica has a stipend. I now have my stipend, and the company's still green. So you have to sit down with the CPA. They're the ones that taught us how to do this. They're the ones that showed us about the banking. It may work for you, it may not. For us, it worked great because we do have a lot of expenses that we had to figure out how do we spend the money without having to break our backs. And also the whole tax thing, it does come up on us, especially once you start breaking over 100,000 per individual, and then the company's breaking just under 250. It just becomes like a whole tax thing. So,
right.
Does that answer your question, Joshua?
Yeah, yes, it does. Thanks.
Thank you for that, Joshua. No, you're not dwelling on anything. That's why we're here. Yes, Eddie, cost over goods. Exactly. It's that analysis, right? The COG, it's the good old COGS. So thank you for that. Okay, thank you again for that robust discussion. We're gonna move into something that I love to do. It's just in my nature. When we're pausing, we're gonna look at planning. I know a lot of us, we're entrepreneurs. We know what planning is, right? I would hope. I mean, raise your hand if you're a planner, or drop it in the chat if you're a planner. Just give me a yes. Yeah. I think some of us are. I don't think many of us are. Yeah, I don't think many of us are the types to throw spaghetti on the wall and sees what sticks, right? That's not how I function, right? And Roberto knows that. When somebody deviates or tries to get into my lane, I kind of have a little bit of some words. So anyway, thank you, Ernesto. We appreciate you.
We appreciate you.
Thank you. So we have some advanced type of planning techniques. We know what strategic plans look like. We know what forecasting look like. But especially for our wonderful, our military and veteran business owners, I think you all like this a little bit better. I think it fits your vibe just a little bit more. And these more advanced planning techniques actually tackle more or less not the far trajectories, because we're all advising against that now, because in the wake of COVID, we know that far-reaching strategic plans really are not that feasible anymore. If anything that COVID showed us is that we're not those types of planners anymore. We can't be. We had to really, really pivot. And Joshua, you're laughing because I could see you're probably thinking, yeah, everything I planned just went out the window, right? Like something of that nature, whatever I thought was going to happen didn't. And so our advanced planning techniques really run on option-based planning, assessing your options and running different scenarios to see what's going to work. After you take those assessments, you'll be able to incorporate that into a long-term plan. So you have two ideal scenarios. Run them in your head during your pause, run out all of your possibilities, and if they're able to stick, you integrate them in your longer-term plan. Tactical plans are usually created by managers to actually improve behavioral efforts and attention to responses that they want to see in their business. Remember, we had talked about that. We had talked about how our employees, we want to see if they're aligning still, if there's staff that we, may or may not be aligning. These tactical plans allow managers to really understand behavioral efforts coming in, as opposed to just a straight plan. Here's a plan, everybody. Here's what we're going to do. Let's stick to it. We're going to look at this behavioral response that we're initiating with what we're trying to envision for the next 6 months. A next concept is a situational favorableness. This is kind of a big one, but these are where certain situations permit or deny you the ability of the leader to change the course. So look at each circumstance, whether it is favorable or not in your planning, to see if you really are able to change. Again, we're looking again, we had heard the market. People are looking at their market. Individuals are looking at their market relevancy. When you look at your market relevancy, this is that situational favorableness. See if that fits into your plan. Look at it holistically, one targeted area. If that favorableness allows you to go in and change, then you have the means to go ahead and create your planning from there. Okay. Roberto.
Okay. So as we do our planning, okay, our plan of action is very simple. A lot of us that serve, we know what an op order is, right? We know what setting any sort of training exercise requires. We have to put in our threats. We have to put in our opportunities. We have to put in something realistic, right? So we start with phase one. We set the actual goal. It has to be an actual achievable and sustainable goal. If you don't do it this way, it kind of just it takes away from what we're trying to accomplish. Once you develop your commitment to this goal, you must move into phase three, which is develop effective actions. They must include every detail: the who, the what, the where, the why, and the how. Right? We go back to the basics of the 5 dubs. We got to understand what they are. From there, we move on to our tracking process. How do we track this process? It's based on time. It's based on process that the government has, that the whatever you're developing, whatever companies is producing your product, whatever their time frame is, like that, you have to account that into it. If you're developing a training course, you have to realize how many hours per day are you going to be able to invest into it to make sure that it's a good training course. If you're trying to figure out what time you want to launch your podcast, you have to look at statistics. You can buy the information, or you can do data mining through either SBA or SBDC and find out what information they have for you, right? Phase 5 is going to be, above all else, maintain flexibility. If 2020 has taught us anything, is that anything can fail. Anything that can't fail will probably fail. So have your contingency plan A through Z in place. That is just going back to our basic training. We've been always taught, have your plan B, C, and D. And then when all else fails, go all the way down to Z, okay? So phase 1, what I want to do is I want to pick out something that is achievable, something that is going to be something that is tangible, because we're entrepreneurs, all right? We're human beings. If you keep dreaming, you're gonna get your heart broken. So give me something attainable. Give you an example. Erika and I, we wanted a company. First things first, let's pick a name. All right, name is picked. All right, let's set up with our state of California. We got our EIN. We set up with the state of California. Then we did our statement of information. Technically, now we're married because we have our names on a legal document, right, with the business. Now we're married to the business. Then from there, how do we develop it? Who do we sell to? How are we going to sell this? What's our product that we're selling? So all of the phases have to be milestones that you have to be comfortable with touching in every phase of the game. Okay?
Thank you. So with that, Roberto is going to bring us back out into our break rooms, and we want you to pick one goal. Oh, we see a poll up, actually. So while you're
put that in the break there between you two. Sorry about that.
No problem. So while you're taking your poll, we're going to actually have one goal that you want to think about, and using the previous slide with our goals, with our roadmap, what does that look like for you? What does that strategic roadmap look for you for this one goal or one facet? Let's look at one facet of your business, or one, if you're just starting up, if you're dormant, if there's one thing that is keeping you up at night, how can you use this plan of action for that one specific channel? Okay. So rather than actually, we had discussed, right, Roberto, we're not going to break you out into rooms. We're actually just going to have you work on this on your own, right? Is that what we discussed?
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to have you take just a few minutes, work on this on your own. And we do pick on people. So we do make sure that everybody's joining and engaging. And so we randomly pick. So I've had people not hear me say I randomly pick and I pick them and they didn't have nothing prepared. So don't be that person. All right. So think of that one thing that keeps you awake at night. The one thing that just cannot get out of your brain. What does that look like? How can you create goals surrounding this one specific channel in your business and using these phases? Just write it out. We'll give you a few minutes.
I'm falling.
All right. How are we doing on our planning? Anybody care to share? Do we have any results yet?
I got Eddie gave me thumbs up.
Eddie, give me a thumbs up.
Mm-hmm.
How about you,
That
Eddie?
was a thumbs up. That was a thumbs up to say that I'm doing all right, but I can go ahead and share.
I
That's
would
fine.
love that. Thank you.
So one of the things about me, as you will come to find out, because hopefully we'll stay in touch, all of us, is that I can talk to anybody anytime, and I enjoy talking to people. So that's never been an issue for me. But as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, I've never been comfortable presenting myself in a way where I'm selling something, right? So I had to change that mindset. Being a consultant and working in systems and process development, that I'm actually providing a service, not trying to sell someone, on that. I'm trying to be a solution. So one of the things that I put in was, more introductions to business owners locally. Step one. Phase two, approach decision makers, more decision makers as that commitment to the goal. Phase three, who, decision makers, what, introductions, where, locally, then further from there as I increase my reach as a business owner. Why, exposure of my passion really to help small businesses, be successful, right? Not just exposure myself, it's the passion that I share for that. So, and then how, just do it like Nike, just make it happen. You know what I mean?
Just do it.
And then phase four, track progress. Normally when I meet new contacts, I ask, just, hey, I'm in the neighborhood, with another client, I was wondering if I could share some information with you, blah, blah, blah. So I can track that by getting contacts and, sending them information. And then there really is no plan Z, it's just do it, so.
Excellent.
That's what I got.
Thank you so much. That was actually really perfect. Exactly how we should be outlining our goals. You hit the nail on every head, because you're saying, this is my goal, here's my why, here's my how, and this is how I'm going to track it. And so it's really, it seems like a simple enough exercise once we start doing it, right? But on the exterior, when we're thinking about all these goals in our head, it almost feels paralyzing to break down the goal like that, right? And so we want to move past that in our pausing, in the way that we pause. And you broke it down perfectly, Eddie, exactly how we should be approaching these goals. So thank you so much for that. That was excellent. Thank you. Would anybody else like to share before we move on? Laura, go for it.
Okay, as I mentioned, our problem is we're trying to do business development. I think I said this in our breakout group at least. And we lost a major project, partly due to some reorganization. It wasn't really a COVID impact, but it happened at that same time. And so my goal or vision would be to achieve our 2019 annual revenue so that we can keep the team employed that work for me. My commitment, obviously, I have a commitment to do that. Is my main focus right now. And so I call it 5 whys in the W. We didn't put the when in there, but so there's 3 of us in my company that are focusing our primary energy on business development. That's the who and the what. The where's primarily West Coast work, although we're open to working in other areas. Why? Because I want to keep this team together. It's a great team. How? Have other team members take on the billable work so we can focus our energy on business development. when we started in January or possibly last December. And for tracking progress, I would probably look at the number and dollar value of the pursuits that are in progress and the number of those that are successful, and try to calculate expected income based on budgets and start dates.
Perfect. See, when you start talking about it and you outline it, it's not that hard anymore, right?
Yeah.
You even had one little stream in there that I wanted everybody to notice too. You said that you're going to have other employees track the receivables, right?
No, they're going to work on the billable work. They're going to take on our actual project work so I can do business development.
Exactly. So you're actually focusing on the delegation of something else so you can focus on your goal.
Yep.
You're going to hand that off to an able staff who can handle this one pivotal piece. I know a lot of us entrepreneurs, we do this, right? We want to hold on to every bit of our projects, but you identified something so important. You delegated something off to somebody else so you can focus on the goal.
Yeah, that's my lesson for this last year has really been that I got a really good team under me finally. I had a bunch of part-time and independent contractors working for me, and I had to train them up, and they were not really focused on my company because they were only working a few hours a week. I now have a full-time team of just a few people, but they are really focused and really great. And so what's happened is this last year is I've tried to more and more make myself expendable so that I can pull myself out of the billable work. I have other people leading all our projects now. I don't lead any of them.
Excellent.
And that's a great place. I can't tell you, I know a lot of us want to control our companies, but I can't tell you what a great place it is when you know that you could get sick and be gone for 6 months and the company will still be running and ticking along.
Absolutely. That's our goal, right? That's exactly our goal. And Laura, I applaud you because yes, Eddie, yeah, absolutely. I applaud you because that is where we want to be.
Yeah.
We want to create these processes and these goals, and we want to achieve them, and we want to create business models, why we're pausing and why we're doing this, so our organizations can run when we're not around. Right?
It took a lot to get there, I'll tell you. I'm broke, but I managed.
Oh, we know the feeling. I think a lot of us know that feeling more than anything, especially this last year. And that's where the only upside to where I've been saying for COVID is it allowed us to pause and really think about, how we are functioning and moving in our processes. And you were able to step back, do this, outline it, and you did one right here, right now. You outlined a goal and you knew how you're going to achieve it. And you're able to move forward. And the fact that these goals and the way that we're learning these systems and processes set you up for success later. It might seem like a huge, anxious sacrifice on the front end to do this, but I promise it will yield absolutely success. So, and Laura's now, we can see that she's actually a product of that type of planning and pausing, right? So excellent. Thank you so much for that. Thank you, everybody. You did excellent work on this. So we already did that. So sorry, that was the next slide, but I wanted to stay on the previous one, but that was our exercise. So wonderful job.
Good job.
Excellent. So we're going to talk about, obviously planning is the key ingredient. Planning is the key ingredient to much of our success. Again, we don't want to have throw the spaghetti on the wall, see what sticks. The fly by the seat of the pants, save that for your networking. Save that for if I have to go meet a client, right? Save it for if I have to, make a quick pivot. But when it comes to our planning, we want to stick to it as much as we can. I know we want, like I said, it's almost like we have these dual personalities that want to hold on to everything so tight, but then we also have to let it go just a little bit, right? Just a little. And so our adaptability in this pausing process really helps us as business leaders understand our own capacity to handle the unexpected. It also helps us with changes in our organizations and external factors like the government. They tell us what to do, especially a small business. They're definitely telling us what to do right now. So this pause and this change and this pivot toward adaptability gets us to almost refine ourselves and how we're able to adapt to all the external forces affecting our business. So it's wonderful that we can actually put ourselves now in this position as more in tune leaders with our business to understand how we are able to be more resilient on that end. So that adaptability is really critical. There's something that we developed at Alpha Prime, and we call it the BEAR method. And I developed this BEAR method based on many of the clients that we were working for And we're helping this create this healthy decision-making processes when we're in this pausing and reflective type of mode, right? And we believe that this BEAR method lends itself to leaders in business or executives. Yes, bears. Yes, absolutely. Because we are tough, but I like to think of entrepreneurs as big bears because we're tough. We can be fairly calm. The well-rounded leader is fairly calm, navigating through the woods, through everything. But when the bear stands up and needs to, then it stands up and needs to, and it shows its own force. It shows its own power, right? And so the bear is something that we developed to approach everyday decision making, even in your mode of pausing. And that is the belief. What is your belief surrounding the certain circumstance right now? What is your bias? What is your underlying assumptions surrounding this circumstances right now? You know, Laura may have not had all of the answers when she was actually creating these teams. She may have had some certain beliefs surrounding her part-time and contracting work. What was that looking like at the time, right? What does that look like? And what was that expectation for those part-timers and those contractors, excuse me? What did that look like? What was her expectations? But what was the awareness surrounding it? What was her actual facts coming in? Because it was bleeding into the reality of what she was going to have to do to maintain a better teams and maintain better system and organizational cohesiveness. So it created her reality and it created her reaction. So she knew that in order to keep succeeding, these part-timers and these contractors weren't going to work. It was going to take a team of just a few, we're still operating lean, to really get the work done and for her to feel a little bit more relief, to delegate, to be able to focus on bigger strategic goals for her and her organization. So this BEAR method is almost like this cerebral type of check for you as a business leader to think about your specific circumstances. So the BEAR, the belief, the expectation, awareness, reality, and then your reaction to these specific circumstances. Okay. If you'd like to take a screenshot of that, go for it. I really highly recommend it because sometimes I've had business leaders say, I took a screenshot of that and I looked at it and then I sat back, took a deep breath and was wondering, really thinking about the awareness in my own reality and what was actually going on. Sometimes you don't realize it, but as an entrepreneur, we really can be that cerebral, right? All right, Roberto.
Outstanding. Operational resiliency. Assessing your internal resiliency with this framework. Understanding the different operations you have, the different cultures. Technology. Change is inevitable. Today we have dollars. Tomorrow we might have pesos. We don't know. It's a crazy world. Bitcoin might be coming in pretty strong now. Strategy and governance. Anybody that doesn't understand politics needs to. Business is politics. Politics is business. Whatever they do up there affects us down here. If you guys don't believe me, look into AB5. Premises, suppliers, security. We have to understand everything that we have available for this. And now, with that being said, also it's understanding yourself, what your capabilities are as a leader. Yes, you're the owner, but you only know what you know. If you don't know, invest money and have somebody else do it for you. Otherwise, like they were saying earlier, if you get the wrong employee, they can cost you your company. You yourself can cost your own company. You can be your own organizational threat. And Erika teaches this a lot, especially with our nonprofit organizations. But nonprofit or for-profit, they're still a business. And it's something that you guys have to consider at all times. So now that we've covered our own method, we'd like to touch on operational resiliency. What that means, we have to prepare for the work environment change. Your employee connectivity is crucial and tenet of any business resiliency plan. So you have to have a plan for your employees. Prepare to pivot your plan. Your facilities resiliency plan is not a financial document that represents your total response. To say that your finance report is gonna tell us what your business really is, it's not. It's only part of it. You got to prepare to pivot your Okay, and then the last two things we're gonna go is communicating clearly. We have to be able to say what we mean, and be very strategic because everybody's really sensitive nowadays. Uh, we have to also take into consideration the last part of always wanting to, and somebody pointed this out earlier, continue to learn. And I think that most veterans in here, we do that regardless. We always take on a course. We always jump online. Whatever webinar we can take on, we jump on it to see what that one toolbox, what tool you can add to your toolbox. Because I can guarantee every single one of your toolbox is full of tools that you will utilize at one point. Okay, next slide. All right, exercise. In your groups, let's quickly identify what are some key areas in which you can review your operations and find your most resilient pieces. Okay.
So what is the one proud thing that you have in your organization that you've seen overcome? If there's one channel or one person, or even you, if you're that person, we want you to identify and celebrate that piece, that resilient piece, because that in effect could become a marker for your organization. So just a few minutes, if Monty, if I can have them break out into some groups just for a few minutes, and we'll just discuss these operational resiliency pieces.
But I just want to tell you guys, thank you very much for inviting me. I too have to leave. But I wrote something in the chat box for all of you guys to please reach out at your convenience. I'm still connected. I'm still a part of the MBV family. I work with James Bogle. I don't know if you guys know who that is, but he's the facilitator there at USC, and Matthew Lorschneider. And both those guys run the most amazing program in the world, and they've incorporated me to continue this entrepreneurship for veterans. And so, again, anything that you guys may need, my phone number, my contact information, Erika, if you guys need anything at USC or want to extend any services, especially for veterans in this program, you work with veterans all the time, but you're just going to be absolutely blown away by some of these amazing heroes and the stories that they all have. So
I would love that. Actually, if you'd like to, do we have our chat still open? Or I think you were CC'd on one of the emails, right? One of our emails with Monty and Daniel.
I believe I am.
Yes,
I also reached out to you on LinkedIn too. So.
Oh, wonderful. Okay, great.
Yeah.
I will. Yes, that's right. We connected. Perfect. Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Monty, Daniel, anybody at the USVBA, especially my dude over here that I speak to William all the time, and such a great organization. So again, thank you very much. I'm very honored to be a part of this group. So guys have a great day. Fight on.
You too. Thank you. Fight on. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you.
All right. Maybe just a couple more minutes. And I know we're approaching almost the 2-hour mark. Sometimes I just don't even realize where the time goes. So from what you noticed in your groups.
I just wanted to make sure that everybody in here understands that we are so proud of everything that you guys have accomplished this far. Believe me, just hearing you guys' feedback, understanding your struggles, that's part of what Erika loves doing. And it teaches us about emotional intelligence, because sometimes we're worried so damn much about our business that we forget about ourselves. So while you guys are doing this, don't forget to take a deep breath. Business is business, but family is always there. Okay. Take a deep breath, guys. That's all.
Okay, awesome.
Erika, if I may, real quick, hey, I just wanted to say this is exactly what we've been trying to do within USVBA. You know, our history is disabled veteran business, and specifically the certifications within the state of California. But you know, if you get a certification, you know, SDVOSB or 8A or anything like that, but you don't know how to run a business, you might get a contract because of it, but you probably won't get a business out of it because you're not going to get multiple contracts. So this is exactly the kind of stuff that I think where we can provide value for you guys. And Joshua, I saw you having a call with or talk with Laura Uden, who is one of my fast growing, one of my favorites. She's awesome. So yeah, thanks very much. I just wanted to bring that up real quick, and I'll give it back to Erika and team.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. So just some final thoughts and considerations that we have for you. Obviously, we really stress the importance of those financial reviews. Your financial stability really is your safety net. And I know a lot of businesses sometimes don't want to look at it. They kind of want to avoid it, but it's a necessary evil. We must look at it. The minute we begin to see the financial statements as our friends is the minute our lives become a little bit easier. If you're not adapting by now, remember we talked about that adaptability piece, it's going to be a hard road ahead. The ability to be flexible is probably one of your biggest superpowers in becoming a real solid entrepreneur, and also humanizing that experiences. Humanizing our experiences really does lead to greater organizational health. And the minute you're able to actually humanize your own self and your own struggle is really where it becomes a little bit more of an introspective road, and you begin to lead a lot more holistically, a lot more a better approach to your overall business strategy. And don't forget that reflection really does lead to breakthroughs. It really can. So in that pause, we saw how some of these reflections actually led to greater organizational movement. We saw hiring. We saw, we even identify the struggle. Even if you're identifying and pinpointing the struggle, you're still pausing and you're putting some sort of strategy around the struggle as opposed to just swimming in it, right? You're writing it out. Your strategy, you're using the roadmap that we outlined. So those are just some concluding thoughts we have for all of you. So Roberto, would you like to add anything else?
Always listen to your clients. When you became an entrepreneur, now you don't work for one person. You work for all of your clients. So listen to their needs and their demands, and obviously stay within your lane. Like Erika said, if it's outside your capacities, don't do it. Don't shy away from your original mission and vision, but we always encourage that you step up and challenge any new obstacles and learn a new way.
Laura, did you have something to share?
I just wanted to say, I know you kind of talked about this in the beginning as like a health check for the organization, but looking at some of the stuff you've presented here, which is really about us thinking about what we want and who we are as people in this companies and where we're headed, it's almost, I view it kind of like a mental and physical health check.
Really is.
I like the introspective stuff. It's really great. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. It absolutely is. And it really begins to set us differently, set us apart from leaders in our own mindsets and how we're approaching our business. So you're absolutely right. It also includes that health check. So thank you so much for pointing that out. Closing thoughts, again, these health checks are key. We get to look at our current business situations and really assess them for what we are. We're being realistic with ourselves. And preparation is key, but also, again, touching on what Laura said, it's about your mindset. It really is mindset. Entrepreneurship is one of those things where you feel like you're wearing a million different hats, but your mindset is what's going to carry you through all of that. And as Roberto said, we just want to tell everybody, you're doing the best you can, no matter what. So please don't forget to applaud yourself, celebrate the victories, celebrate what is actually, even if it's a goal of just hiring and achieving and getting more staff, those are small victories that add up in the long run. So don't forget to celebrate those things. Dean, I just saw your cat just make his way through. The kitty cat wanted to hear something too. So oh, the good old nuances of Zoom, right? So it goes along. We're all doing the best we can, especially now. So humanize yourself once in a while and be gentle on yourself. With that, we're going to go ahead and wrap that up. I would break us out for questions, but we are actually completely out of time. So I'm going to pass this back over to Daniel and Monty.
Terrific. Hey, seriously, Erika and Roberto and Rocio, who had to leave, I cannot thank you guys enough, and I'm looking forward to the relationship that we're building here. So it's really exciting stuff. A couple other things, I thanks to Mike Ray, who's on the call here as well. I had a call with the new head of the Small Business and DVBE services here in California. If I know that some of us aren't from here, but anyone who knew Angel Carrera was just a big friend of ours. He unfortunately passed away. his replacement is really anxious. Yes, Anda with DGS. She is really leaned forward and wanting to get things like mentor-mentee programs started. And so stand by for more information on that kind of stuff. But again, thank you very much. And I'm really excited about the way that things have happened. So you can reach us on the website. My email is out there. Do not hesitate if you have any questions. I've already got a few interactions with folks in the chat. So let us know if you have any questions and feedback. I like what I'm seeing on the chats. But if there's anything you didn't want to share because it wasn't too pretty, then I want to hear that too. So, hey, thank you very much, everyone. And there'll be more from us soon. All right. Take care.
Everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for a great
Everybody.
presentation.
Thank you.
Great job. Thank you.